If you've ever looked at someone who is crushing it in business and thought to yourself, what do they know that I don't? This is for you. My name is Dr. Javier Carlin, and I've worked with 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs, and they all focused on unlocking the one thing keeping them stuck: their mind. Not more strategy, but less mental noise. And if you stick around till the end of this video, I'm going to show you how the top 1% clear their limiting beliefs in days and not decades, so that they can scale faster, lead better, and actually feel free doing it. Plus, I'll show you how to apply for the Rapid Alignment Intensive so you can begin to experience this shift yourself. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, I want to let you in on something that the top 1% already know. Success at the highest level is not about being smarter, it's about removing the friction. And what is that friction? That friction actually lives inside of your mind. I want you to really think about this, right? You're already successful, you've built something. You're possibly hitting 20K, 50K, maybe even 100K a month. But if you're honest with yourself, you're still hitting that wall. You're thinking, maybe I need a better funnel. Maybe my offer's off. Maybe I need to hire a new team member. Maybe I just need to grind harder. But what if I told you that the problem isn't your strategy? The problem is the story that you've been running in the background. So let's start here. Think about this, right? If strategy was the real problem, you would have fixed it by now. The truth is that once you hit that 20K to 100K per month range, your business becomes a reflection of your internal operating system. Most people are trying to fix the things that are outside of themselves, but at the end of the day, it's your internal operating system that's going to get you to that next level, okay? Now, this is called the success ceiling, and I'm going to break down exactly what that is and why it's so important to understand, okay? Before we dive into that, I want to break down the success formula for you, and you've likely heard this before. The success formula is be, do, have. Now, if you're like me, for a while I thought, man, that sounds great. Yeah, that's a really cool phrase, a really cool way to see this. And I was left wondering, how do I be? How do I be more? What does that even look like, right? As entrepreneurs, we're always looking for the strategy, the tactics, like how do I actually make this happen? And as I studied this further, I realized that your beingness is a reflection of who you are, and who you are is a reflection of your thoughts, your beliefs, your values, your identity, your emotions, attitudes, your personality, okay? So in order to become the next level version of you, you've got to invest all of your time, money, and energy into your beingness, into the first part of this formula, which includes working on your thoughts, your beliefs, your values, your identity, your emotions, and your attitudes at the unconscious level. Makes sense, right? And so when it comes to the success ceiling, this is what's going on. First, what happens is you're currently in a familiar zone. Some people will refer to this as the comfort zone. I like to call it the familiar zone because it's anything but comfortable. It's what's familiar to you. And what ends up happening is that once you push to that next level, once you push past your current limits, we actually overextend into what we call the panic zone, okay? We do the things that we believe are going to help us take our business to the next level. We spend more on ads, we hire more team members, we, overextend ourselves and overcommit to things that may not move the needle as much as we thought. And so what ends up happening is that in this overextension of ourselves, we actually go into this panic zone. Now, what ends up happening when we get to that panic zone, we have two choices: either to level up or shrink back down in fear, in self-sabotage. And what happens to most people is, even if they want to keep pushing, the things that are happening beneath the surface hold them back. And so they come back into the familiar zone. And so what's actually happening at the unconscious level is that we're breaking through or attempting to break through this success ceiling. Sometimes we do. And if our identity, our values, our emotions, the stuff that's happening beneath the surface at the unconscious level isn't being recalibrated to that new level of success, then we stumble back into our familiar zone. And this is where you'll see people experiencing that roller coaster of life or roller coaster of business, because they keep on going back and forth. They have some success, they fall back, they have some success, they fall back. Okay. And so this is how the success ceiling works. We need to, while we're doing the things to increase our revenue, to increase our profits, to become more successful in our business, we also have to, at the same time, work on being the person who can handle that new level of success. Okay, so you don't need better tools. You need to upgrade the beliefs that run your business. You have to align your identity with the next level of scale. And you have to remove the unconscious conflicts that keep success feeling heavy. Otherwise, you'll just stumble back into that familiar zone. Okay. Now, there's actually been a study by Harvard Business Review. They found out that 90% of strategy execution failures aren't from the plan itself. They're actually from the people. And the people, when you think about it, it starts with you. You're part of the people. Right? And so this is why this is so key to understand. Now, there are 3 levels of internal friction that keep high performers like yourself stuck. Okay. And here's what the 1% do differently. Number 1 is they work on releasing unresolved emotional baggage. The first one here is releasing unresolved emotional baggage. This could be in the form of fear. This could be guilt. This could be self-doubt. And there's a long list of other things that could be surfacing for you. Okay. Now, any of this at any level, even if you have 1% fear, guilt, self-doubt, that is 100% self-sabotage. It's going to get you results, but not the results you want. 1% of people, the most successful people on the planet, they make sure that they release their emotional baggage. The second thing that they do is they identify and remove their limiting beliefs. Okay, LB or BS. They get rid of their BS, their belief systems. These are things like, if I scale, I'll burn out, or I don't deserve to have that much. I don't deserve to charge that much. Okay, that's the second internal friction that the top 1% overcomes. And the third one here is they align their values at the unconscious level and their identity with the vision that they're building. Okay? They align their values and their identity with the vision that they're building. And when they do these 3 things, they shift from mental chaos to mental clarity fast. They don't work harder. What they actually do is they just remove their foot off the brake, because when you remove your foot off the brake, you can move forward much more easily and effortlessly. The next thing that we want to look into is the limiting beliefs that keep business owners stuck. There are several of these, and I want to cover the ones that we see the most. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and break down 4 of these limiting beliefs for you. The first limiting belief that we see often is this: if I grow too fast, I'll burn out. So if I grow too fast, I'll burn out. Have you ever thought this or said this to yourself? Maybe you've tried growing too fast in the past and it resulted in you burning out, and now that keeps you from putting the foot on the gas pedal or making moves to grow a little faster than you are right now. So you want to get to your destination and you want to get there as quickly as possible, yet because you've had a negative experience in the past, you're hesitant to do it again in the future. And so what is the result of this limiting belief? Well, if you have any inkling of this limiting belief in your mind, you're going to experience hesitation to scale. And again, remember, like I said earlier, just 1% of any of these is 100% self-sabotage. What do I mean by that? Well, if a pilot is going to, let's say, California, right? And they have their route to California, if they are just 1% off and they stay 1% off, they're going to be hundreds of miles away from their destination. So just 1% off equals you don't get to your destination. That's why this is so key. Another example of what could happen if you have the belief of, if I grow too fast, I'll burn out, is you might avoid hiring or hiring the right person subconsciously, okay? You might overwork yourself instead of delegating, right? So these are all things that can happen. And the crazy thing about all of this is that it still leads to the burnout you were looking to avoid. That's limiting belief number one. Limiting belief number two. If I slow down, everything will fall apart. This is interesting, right? Because we've got limiting belief number one that says, if I grow too fast, I'll burn out. And then if you go too slow, everything will fall apart. So you're literally being pulled like a tug of war in two directions. And what happens if both of these directions are in conflict and no one wins? Well, you stay stuck right in the center. Now, how long do you want to stay stuck for? That's an answer you're going to have to give yourself, okay? So what is the result of having this limiting belief? If I slow down, everything will fall apart. Well, the result here is that you might micromanage everything. You might refuse to delegate, and you might stay trapped in overworking, okay? Because what ends up happening is most people will confuse control, being in control, with being safe, which creates burnout and ends up blocking your ability to scale with freedom, with a peace of mind, right? So that's limiting belief number two. Limiting belief number three is I need to be on all the time or I'll lose momentum. Have you ever thought this to yourself? I need to be on all the time or I'll lose momentum. So what happens here? Well, you might operate in constant urgency. You might be fueled by fear instead of alignment. And we all know that decisions made in fear don't go well. And what ends up happening is when you live in constant urgency, when you're fueled by fear, this leads to anxiety, right? Thinking about a future outcome that is undesirable to you, which causes paralysis now in the future, okay, in the present. Avoidance of resting and decision fatigue masked as drive or determined or persistent. But all you're doing is burning yourself to the ground. This is another limiting belief that can cause you to crash. And the fourth one here is I'm successful, but what if I lose it all? Have you ever thought this to yourself? It's one variation of either I'm currently successful, but what if I lose it all? Or what if I become successful, and however you define that, and I lose it all? Well, if you have this limiting belief, this mindset, what is the result? Well, the result is quite simple, okay? You sabotage. You might hold yourself back from being more visible because you're scared of becoming successful or being too successful. Or if you do become successful and then you lose it all, then you have the fear of being judged. What are other people going to think about me when they don't see me putting myself out there anymore? They're going to think that I failed and I have, right? And these are all stories that we make up in our head. None of it is probably true. And so you likely also at this point wouldn't invest in what would actually help you, because you might be fearful of making the wrong decision. Make sense? And so every single one of these limiting beliefs can be traced back to a deeper belief that you didn't choose. It was installed through either an experience, a trauma, or even a programming from when you were younger, from a conversation you had, a story someone told you, from watching the news or a movie, okay? And if you're not actively focused on this, if you're not actively rewiring these beliefs, they're actively running your business on autopilot. Doing this type of work is what will take you to that next level. When you clear the unconscious patterns, the unconscious emotional baggage, limiting beliefs, and align your values and identity, it's going to assist you in eliminating the self-sabotage every time things get quote unquote too good. And you don't need more tactics. You need to rewire your internal operating system, because when you do that, the business will finally start to feel easy again. Now, you might be asking yourself now, okay, well, how do I actually do this? Well, I'm glad you asked. The way that we do this is through the rapid alignment method. Okay, this is the exact process that we use inside of our rapid alignment intensive to help business owners like you unlock your next level without adding more to your plate. Step number one in the rapid alignment method is to uncover. Okay, so what does this mean? We want to identify the unconscious patterns that are holding you back using NLP-based neuroscience, diagnostics, and performance profiling. Okay, we want to take a look at and track any emotional triggers, any overthinking loops, any identity conflicts. When we uncover what's at the deepest level of your unconscious mind, the core problem that is holding you back, that allows us to then go into step number two. And in a moment here, I'm going to share with you how quickly this can happen. Okay, because as a busy entrepreneur, we don't want to waste any time. We want to clear the shit so you can move forward with your life, okay? Step number two is unwire. Unwire. So here, it's all about clearing the emotional baggage that's tied to past decisions or trauma or even fear. The way that we do this is using techniques from MER, mental and emotional release. When you go through step two, you remove the resistance. And we help you do that through this process, through language reframing, and really assist you in collapsing any limiting beliefs that you might have through deep unconscious rewiring and reprogramming. Okay. And then step number three is rewire. So step number three is rewire. Here is where we assist you in embedding empowering identity beliefs using future pacing, values integration, and goal alignment. Okay. We actually assist you in putting these goals into your future so that you have a certainty and a knowingness that what you want is already happening, that you are taking the exact steps and making the confident decisions that you need to make to get to your destination. We assist you in rebuilding your internal model of success based on ease, clarity, and power, not stress, no more struggling. It's literally like uninstalling a virus that you didn't even know was running in the background. And when you uninstall that virus, you suddenly see your mind is operating 10 times faster, smoother, and more decisively. Okay. So if this is something that you are interested in doing, here's what I want you to do next. Because if you know you're successful on paper, but something still feels off mentally, emotionally, maybe even energetically, right? You have a sense something isn't at 100%, then it's time for you to finally clear the root cause of that friction. And if that's you right now, go to the link below and make sure to apply for our Rapid Alignment Intensive. In just one day, we help high-level entrepreneurs like yourself to rewire their mind and create crystal clear internal alignment so you can scale without resistance. And trust me, I know it might sound too good to be true. I thought the same thing. This system here, I spent, over 90 hours in therapy for 2.5 years. And after I discovered and refined this rapid alignment process, it was a complete game changer. From 90 hours to 8 hours. That's what you can expect. Go ahead and click that link below and apply for the Rapid Alignment Intensive. Or if you want more on this, make sure to watch the next video where I walk you through the 4 internal blocks that are sabotaging 6, 7, and even 8-figure business owners, even when everything looks perfect from the outside. Go ahead and tune in to that next video now or apply for the Rapid Alignment Intensive. Until next time.